Dear students, as an English teacher, poet, and author, I have the responsibility to not only you and your parents, but also to the language and its literature. It is my firm belief that of greater importance than the content of the literature itself is your belief in your own capabilities as readers and thinkers about literature. It is not always the poem which changes your life per se, though sometimes it is, but the ability to notice the poem and appreciate it for what it is that results in an appreciation for its offerings. This is especially true for poetry, a genre which has not been taught with much pedagogical consistency among educators. Even the term poetry eludes many teachers. This is problematic on several levels. First, if we teachers are uncertain about what poetry is, how can you understand what it is? Second, what messages about poetry are we sending to students about the genre? Third, what are students' reactions to these messages? If you're a student, do you often struggle with what poems actually are? I hope to clear up some misconceptions for you here and to offer a strategy to help you do what poems require: immersing yourself in the language itself. Poetry is the art of the language itself, as indicated in Louis Putnam Turco's reference work, The Book of Forms, A Handbook of Poetics. Poetry is the most exacting and purposeful use of language in all of its aspects: sounds, images, ideas, and typographies. These are really only 4 aspects a reader needs to notice. When you read poems, all you really need to do is to notice these things. Don't worry about what the poem means per se. Immerse yourself in noticing these aspects. That's what you need to do if you want to get more out of poetry. Immerse yourself in the nuances so that you notice each individual poem for what it is and what it offers. Noticing takes time. It also takes practice. It often requires you to slow down and ruminate on possibilities. In our fast-paced society and in our fast-paced classrooms, wherein more is crammed daily and rigor is often synonymous with timed exams, taking the time to notice all aspects of language may seem counterproductive. However, it is not. When you take the time to notice the language itself, notice the sounds, images, and rhetorical figures, ideas, and the ways the letters and words are arranged visually on the page, you start to see relationships and patterns. You understand how the poem's ideas may start in one place and end someplace completely different by the final line. You see that there is a connection between the sounds and the images presented. You see the play with language unfolding, the relationships between different aspects. You begin to see the art of poetry. Poets, after all, are hypersensitive writers attuned to the nuances of language. We are an exacting lot. For us, language is the medium and message. There is no separation of content and structure since they are interdependent elements. Whether writing in formal verse, metrical and measured language, or in prose, non-metrical, unmeasured language, we are mindful of the subtleties of human written communication. So the right word, the right sound, the right punctuation, the right spacing, the right idea, all must function as would a symphony. Each poem is a symphony of language that starts in one place and ends somewhere different. So what comes next is a plan for you to help you read poetry a little differently than you might have before. It is born out of my work as an educator for 18 years and as an award-winning poet with 2 books of verse from reputable small presses. I tell my students that I do not just love reading poetry. I love writing poetry. I am both consumer and producer of this stuff, so I am in a unique position to help them learn how to get more out of the poems that they read. The advice that follows is not just good for students. It works for anyone wanting to engage with poetry differently than in the past. I welcome you to try this method and to let me know your thoughts.